Did you know one podcast episode can make 5 to 10 pieces of content? Hey, I'm Alexis. I'm a podcast manager, and I'm here to share with you how to repurpose your podcast episode. Option number 1, you could turn it into a blog with titles, subtitles, headings, all of those kinds of things with the main topics that you talked about in your podcast. Number 2, pick 3 to 5 key topics that you talked about and turn it into a carousel, or its own individual reel, or a photo with information, key points that you touched on during the podcast episode. My favorite thing is to turn 30 seconds of the podcast episode into an audiogram or reel. And number 3, you can summarize the podcast episode into a newsletter that you share with your email audience. And if not a newsletter, you can do an infographic or a guide, things like that. And lastly, my favorite, you can turn your podcast episode, especially if you're filming with video, into its own YouTube video, whether you upload the entire YouTube podcast on YouTube, the video podcast on YouTube, or just a snippet of it on YouTube and tease to the podcast.